right, ladies and gentlemen. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about an old classic story, and that has to do with Resident Evil 5 Remake. Now, Resident Evil 5 Remake is a game that a lot of fans are asking for, but it's a game that Capcom doesn't ever want to talk about. Resident Evil 5 Remake is a game that they are probably going to be refusing to remake for as long as they possibly can. It's one of those stories that they try to push off for as long as they can, because let's be real, it's going to be considered problematic. Everybody knows why they don't want to remake Resident Evil 5. Suddenly, Capcom can't seem to count to 5, although they counted perfectly fine up to 4. But regardless, they just don't want to do it. Now, you're probably saying, is that really why? Could that really be the reason? I mean, let's be real. Look at all the press at the mere thought of Resident Evil 5. You guys remember all the articles that they had talking about Resident Evil 5 and how it shouldn't be remade? Back in 2024, this is pretty recent, IGN put out an article that said, the Resident Evil game that can't be remade. It's time to rewrite, not remake. All of a sudden, when you get to 5, now suddenly the story needs to be changed. You know, you're not just supposed to remake a game anymore. Remake was perfectly fine up to 4, but you can't do it for 5. Gee, I wonder why that is. I mean, all these gaming journalists are just dying to make this problematic for Capcom, and they know this, and they're trying to avoid it. Now, there has been a leaker that has been giving out information regarding Resident Evil 9, and he's also sharing information about other Resident Evil games, and apparently he has confirmed that Resident Evil 5 is not even on the cards right now. According to a new leak, the Resident Evil 5 remake we're all asking for isn't happening anytime soon. It's claimed there is more positive news about Code Veronica remake, but it is a Chris Redfield-sized punch to the gut where a Resident Evil 5 remake is concerned. Capcom has delivered some sterling remakes in the last few years. Resident Evil 2's fully fledged remake blew everyone out the water, and while the Resident Evil 3 remake didn't reach the heights of the second game, it was still enjoyable and appreciated by fans. There have been reports for months about the next Resident Evil remake, and a new leak from a reliable source provides fresh details. Resident Evil 5 remake reportedly not greenlit by Capcom. Now, guys, we can make the joke all we want. We're going to continue to make the joke. Here's the simple truth about this, right? Capcom is not going to remake Resident Evil 5 anytime soon until they figure out how they can avoid the problematic headlines that are going to come their way. All right. They don't want to be seen remaking a video game where you get to mow down a horde of zombies, black zombies. They don't want by a white guy on top of that. They don't care if there's somebody who's a person of color next to them. They don't care about that. All they care about is the fact that there is a white guy that is able to mow down black zombies. That's going to be extremely problematic. The only way I could see them making it not problematic is by race swapping the zombies. But the thing is, if you race swap the zombies, that is openly telling everybody how much of a pussy you are and how you bent the knee and you decided to change the skin color of the zombies, even though they're in Africa. It's amazing how the mindset of these people work. They're the first ones to tell you, oh, you shouldn't make this character white if their heritage is Africa, because African means black according to these people. But then when you say, okay, well, keep that same energy, let's keep the zombies black in Resident Evil 5, they're going to look at you like, no, that's problematic. Let's race swap them. It just never makes any sense. But in any case, the go-to leaker where Resident Evil news is concerned is Dusk Golem. The ex-user's adamant that Resident Evil 5 remake has not been greenlit at this time. In short, if the report is accurate, then Capcom might be discussing the project, keyword might, but there's no go-ahead to start working on the Resident Evil 5 remake. This means a remake of the 5th game is still years away, and for now, we need to focus on Resident Evil Requiem and Resident Evil Survival Unit as the only confirmed games in development. Now, obviously, guys, you know, they're not going to come out with any remakes when they have a headline Resident Evil game that's coming out soon. They're going to wait for Resident Evil Requiem to release first, garner its sales, wait about a year or so, and then they'll start talking about remakes then. But chances are they're going to end up remaking Code Veronica before they remake Resident Evil 5, which is hilarious, by the way. But that's what they're going to do. Dusk Golem does say that the rumored Code Veronica remake is moving along nicely. Code Veronica remake has been in development since 2022. Around 3 years of development now. Code Veronica remake is ahead of schedule due to a very smooth dev cycle, though. It's good to hear about the reported Code Veronica remake. However, we can't help but feel a tinge of disappointment about Resident Evil 5, probably the most underrated game in the franchise. Is that a hot take? Let us know. Now, again, I want to remind everybody the mindset of people that, that work in gaming journalism, if you even want to call that a title, gaming journalism, these people are just waiting. they're waiting with bated breath. They're literally looking at Capcom and they're saying, please pull the trigger, right? They're saying, please release Resident Evil 5. You have to release it in the way that we wanted to, because if you do, this would allow us to run massive amounts of racist headlines, and they all goon over this stuff. They can't wait to run those headlines. We all know it's true. They absolutely cannot wait to do it. And again, this is an article from 2024 talking about how the story and the series is problematic at this point in time. Then they try to pretend like, oh, it has to do with the action combat. No, it doesn't. You very clearly have an issue with the fact that the zombies are black. You have an issue with the fact that the game, I guess, is a little bit too overly diverse. Nobody wants to be seen mowing down black zombies, right? So to make a faithful Resident Evil 5 would just completely break these people. It would make it something that they can't help but complain about. And we've seen it happen with YouTubers as well. We've seen so many people claim to be Resident Evil fans, but then the moment a Resident Evil 5 remake comes into conversation, they're like, oh no, we can't do this because it's problematic. So at this point, guys, I think it's safe to say if you are waiting for a Resident Evil 5 remake, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I think we are years out from, I mean, look at the screenshot. Do you think they're really going to allow this screenshot to happen in a modern video game where you could blow the head off of a black zombie? I really don't think that's going to happen, man. I genuinely don't. So you guys let me know in the comments down below. Again, what do you think about this entire situation? Look at this. Oh, wait, hold on. Before we end the video, this insensitive treatment of people of color was hotly debated even as early as Resident Evil 5's debut trailer, with writers such as the Guy Kroll or Stefan Totillo pointing out the game's uncomfortable post-colonial imagery. The arguments and think pieces continued well into the game's release window, with IGN's own former editor-in-chief Hillary Goldstein having also wrestled with the subject. But that was 2009, a time when race was apparently a debate rather than a reality. In the 2020s, in a post-Black Lives Matter world, there is only one acceptable response to a white man shooting waves of Africans for an entire video game. No. Guys, is this a joke? Like, is this sincerely a joke, man, at this point? Come on, man. What are we doing? Why are we still doing this? So you mean to tell me that every other Resident Evil game where you were able to shoot all kinds of zombies, right? You're able to shoot white, black, Asian, women, men, you're able to do all that perfectly fine, no problem. But the moment you go to Africa and you mow down a horde of black zombies, that apparently is not okay. That's racist. Would you be saying the same thing if you were able to go to Europe and mow down a horde of white zombies only? Would you be saying the same thing? Of course not, because you're a fucking moron. That's genuinely what it is. Look at what they say. Set in a fictional, keyword fictional, by the way, West African country, Resident Evil 5's primary antagonists are black people. Yes, technically, it's the Ouroboros virus that the protagonist Chris Redfield is fighting, but the parasite's host is depicted as a nation of mobs and primitives who are violent even before their infection. Intentionally or not, Resident Evil 5 positions Africa as the dark continent, an uncivilized world harboring a diseased population that needs gunning down via Western intervention in the name of global security. My God, bro. This is what they view as media literacy, right? When these people tell you, oh, you just don't understand the story. You don't see it because you're not smart enough. You don't see it because you don't have media literacy. This is what these people mean by media literacy. They take a fictional story and they make up some unbelievable political bullshit. And they say, well, that's what it is because I can clearly see it as that. No, you are so fucking dumb. It is beyond measure how stupid these people are sometimes, but they'll convince you they're the smartest people in the world because they saw politics in a video game that's about zombies. These are the same people that are currently calling Hollow Knight Silksong transcoded because they saw politics in a game about bugs. What are we doing? So you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Resident Evil 5? Do you think they're going to remake this game? Do you think this game ever stands a chance for the modern audience? And do you think if the game gets remade faithfully, do you think these journalists are going to go unbelievably insane and attack it the moment the game is announced to be faithful? If it is, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, consider hitting that like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.